There is a very interesting scene in the episode 5 of season 2 of Wolf Hall, and it's when Thomas Howard, the Duke of Norfolk, is really annoyed with Cromwell about Thetford Priory. And I'm going to discuss with you the history, but we're also going to react to that scene. So let's watch it first.
Thetford Priory!
Yes, my lord.
You've shot it.
I have.
That's my country. I told you, my forebears lie there. My father lies there. Flodden Norfolk, they call him, named after the battle. Now where is he to go? It's an insult to the Howard name. My father must be prayed for, damn you!
Your old dad. Why don't you let him take his chances?
You dare hold me in contempt? I'll have your guts, filthy ingrate! What were you, when you came to court? Wolsey owned the shirt on your back. Now you stir yourself and you show your gratitude to me and to the king, who've done so much for you!
So what's very interesting is obviously like you have the rage of Norfolk. I have to say this scene is very good. And we could say it has happened, and we're going to discuss why I think it is problematic in itself. But here is to show obviously the tension between Cromwell and Norfolk and their big rivalry, and the fact that obviously Norfolk is going to play a huge part in Cromwell's downfall. Now let's just also remember that Norfolk plays a big part in his own niece's downfall. So it is quite interesting that this man is also a recurring figure for anyone who's basically falling out of favour with Henry VIII. I think that's quite interesting in itself.
Out of my affairs, and you take your fucking Germans and you kick them out the door!
The whole council approved that match. You signed it, Thomas Howard. You did, as well as I. As for that lady, the king couldn't get her here fast enough.
I tell you, he wants to be free!
Okay, so so now we move to Thetford. You see everything is smashed and condensed, and that's why I think this scene is problematic. Again, I'm going to tell you about the real history of Thetford Priory and what actually we know happened. But so everything is packed. We have Norfolk's anger about Thetford Priory being shut down, and he thinks it's Cromwell's doing. But what's so magnificent here is that then we move to actually the problem. Anne of Cleves, get the German out, and Cromwell reminding him, well, you signed, you won the Privy Council, you agreed for this match, and now he's telling him Henry wants to be free. So here, that's why it doesn't work. It's packed with too many things that are not working. It's just to show the extreme disgust they have for each other, the disgust, the distrust, the fact that they absolutely dislike each other, they hate each other, and so. And in a way, I do understand why, in historical fiction, we have to change things. And I think this show does it really well because it was a problem for Norfolk, but it's not how it happened. But let's move on to probably one of the best lines of the entire show.
Have you not seen him looking at my niece? He cast a fantasy to Catherine the first time he ever did see her!
If you want power, why don't you get it like a man? Instead of pandering your fucking nieces!
What?
I think this is the best line. This is everything to me. This is just so good. There could not be anything better than this line. If you want power, why don't you get it like a real man instead of pandering all your nieces? Because at the end of the day, it's what Norfolk does. He keeps saying, hey, look, here's my niece, Anne Boleyn, here's my niece, Catherine Howard. Well, Cromwell didn't need any woman to get the power he acquired. And I just love that scene. I love that anger. I love the fact that he said it. It's probably one of the best lines. You can imagine actually Cromwell saying that. Now let's go back to Thetford Priory and what actually happened. But let's have a bit more of history and a bit of background about the Priory. Thetford Priory was a monastic house in Thetford, Norfolk, and it was founded in 1103. Thetford was one of the most important monasteries of East Anglia, and as Norfolk said in the show, it's a big pride for him. Another thing that was important for obviously Norfolk is that it housed the tombs of the Howard dynasty, but not only, also of Henry Fitzroy, 1st Duke of Richmond and Somerset, Henry VIII, bastard. So now that's why the story is a bit complicated, because it didn't save the Priory from the dissolution of the monasteries, and on its closure in 1540, the Howard tombs were removed to St. Michael the Archangel in Frolingham. Now, did Cromwell play a part in the dissolution of monasteries? Absolutely yes. But Norfolk made it, like in the real history, Norfolk, the Duke of Norfolk, put his case forward Henry VIII instead. And Henry VIII allowed the suspension of the closure, so the Howard family had enough time to move their tombs. But he also appealed to Henry VIII, saying, like, your own son, illegitimate, your own son is buried there. It didn't change a thing. So here in the show, you don't have Howard's, anger towards the king. Well, we know that he petitioned the king officially. And here we just have this kind of anger towards Cromwell. And why is it so good? It's because obviously Cromwell played a huge part in the dissolution of monasteries. It's also, you can imagine, almost like, the breaking point between Norfolk and Cromwell, where Norfolk is like, this man has no respect. And that's why, this scene is good, even though probably, could we say that it happened? I really doubt it. But if it had, it would have probably happened the same way. You have the anger, you have the hatred between the two men, you have what's going on between them two, and you have how much, Norfolk saw himself as superior to Cromwell. In the scene, I don't know if you noticed as well, Cromwell doesn't react to all the things that Howard is saying to him, about the Priory, about the fact that he should be grateful, about the fact that he's superior to him. He reacts only when Norfolk is talking about the match with Anne of Cleves. And that is because Cromwell here is quite annoyed, because he knows that they're all trying to put the blame on someone, and the blame is going to be put on him, is going to be seen as a failure. But that's not because the match is a failure that Henry VIII is going to turn against Cromwell. There are few factors that is going to create Cromwell's downfall. The first one is the fact that, unlike with Anne Boleyn, he doesn't seem to want to get an annulment or to try to find a way for Henry to be free from this marriage. He still thinks that it's probably a good match for Henry VIII. So Cromwell is still doing his best and still thinking, that maybe you should not want to get out of this marriage so quickly. The second point is obviously that, Cromwell is getting more and more power. And we've discussed it in my previous video when I review, in this, I review more for my members, but I discussed the fact that, Henry VIII in the end kind of decided to give the Earldom of Essex to Cromwell. And I think here it was a test. I don't think he really meant to do it. I think he wanted to see if Cromwell was a man of power, was a greedy man, was someone who was indeed ungrateful for everything that has been given to him. And when Cromwell accepts, Henry VIII was like, oh, hang on, everything that has been told by his enemies to me might be true. He is after power. He might be thinking that he's ruling for me. And that's here where it's so well portrayed in Wolfhall. There's a rivalry that is growing. The fact that Henry VIII appreciated Cromwell for everything he could do, at the same time he despised him for his intelligence, for his strength, and the fact that, let's not forget, Cromwell was a man who came from nothing and rose to so much power. He's not an anointed king. He's not a regnant king. And yet he has so much say, so much power, all because of his wit. So here it's maybe also that type of rivalry that really disturbed Henry VIII. Let me know in the comments what you think about this scene between Cromwell and Norfolk. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!